Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2023 Porsche Macan. I'm going to walk you through how to install the Stealth Hitch tow package, ball mount, and wiring kit. This is what it's going to look like when you don't have your ball mount, your receiver tube. Your 7-pole plug actually hides up behind your fascia here, as well as your block where your ball mount, as well as your receiver tube locks into place. That being said, obviously you can see that it is removable. The easiest way to get it installed is you're going to unlock it. The lock's going to slide out. You're going to have a handle on this side. You're going to take and turn it towards the front of the vehicle. When you're ready to tow, you're going to take your ball mount, slide up into place, just like your rack receiver, lock it, and you're ready to go. It's going to have a 2-inch ball, 600-pound max tongue weight. Again, that's the downward pressure. 6,000-pound gross trailer weight. That's the trailer plus the load included. I recommend checking the owner's manual of the vehicle, make sure the vehicle can withstand that amount of weight. Go with the lowest number between the vehicle and the hitch. What I really like about this is this being removable, it maintains a nice clean look on the Porsche. And you're not going to notice anything if you're driving behind it. It's going to look like a factory vehicle without a hitch on it. Also, the 7-pole plug, as I mentioned, is hidden up here. Does it kind of make it a pain to have to plug it in this way? It does, but when you own a Porsche, this stuff you want hidden. So I am okay with having to bend over and put my 7-pole in that way, and even having to reach down underneath to unlock it and slide my receiver in. As far as the installation process, it's not real difficult. You are going to have to remove the fascia. Keep in mind that removing the fascia, there's a plug on this side that goes to these lights that you cannot disconnect. So the fascia is going to have to stay connected to the wiring, so you're going to have a table or a bench or something that you can take the fascia and set it on while you're installing the cross tube and your block for your receiver tube and for your ball mount. Wiring part of it, the instructions listed out for you what wires need to go where, what they connect to on the vehicle for your specific year, and where those wires are located. So it makes it very simple. Everything you're going to need to do is going to be back here. You're not going to need to take anything up to the front of the vehicle. Battery's even located underneath the spare tire in the back. Removing it, the fascia is pretty simple. You have a few bolts down here, a few in each of the wheel wells, and then a couple up top, and it just pops right out. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It can be done in your garage or your driveway. If it's something you may not have the time or the space to do, check out our dealer locator, find someone near you that's capable of putting it in. If it's something you want to try out, follow along with me and I'll walk through how to do it. Start your installation. You're going to remove all your floor coverings. We're going to go to each side. We're going to remove this panel. Just going to pull out like that. You know, the same thing on the driver's side. We'll set these aside. Next, we're going to remove the spare tire and then our foam holder that holds our jack and our tools in place. T30 Torx bit. We're going to come to our tie downs. You're going to have 4, 2 on each side. Remove the 2 screws that are on the top of each one. We're going to lift these out of place as well. So at the bottom of your threshold, you're going to have a plastic nut on each side that you need to remove. Use a 10mm socket to remove those. Then we need to remove our threshold. We have a Bose speaker in place here. I'm going to see if I can get it out without having to remove that. If we have to remove this, there's a T30 Torx bit on this side and this side. We can take it, pull those out, and just kind of slide it forward. I think I can get it past it though. We're going to pull out till it clears the stud where we took off that plastic nut, and then we're just going to pull up. We'll pull this out and set it aside. On each side of the vehicle, you're going to take your T30 Torx bit. You're going to remove the bolt that's in the center of this along with this rubber stopper. On each side of the vehicle, we need to remove this plastic cover to get access to two bolts that are holding the taillight in place. Take a plastic trim panel tool, and you need to do it this way. We're going to go to the inside here, and if it makes it easier, you can come up like this. Give yourself a little space there. We need to get in behind it like this and pry this edge up over top this rubber seal. The reason we want to do that is this plastic piece has little tabs that hold it inside the edge of the light right here. We don't want to break those off or else this piece won't stay in. Once you get both covers off, in this corner, you're going to take a T25 Torx bit and remove that bolt. With the 4 screws out, you're going to take your wheel well liner. You're going to pull it out like this, kind of tuck it back behind your tire like that. We're going to have 3 more on the inside. You're going to need a little extension if you don't have a longer T25. There's going to be 3 on the inside. You're going to have 1 here, come right up above it. You're going to have 1 here, and you come all the way up. You're going to have 1 that goes in like this, connects these 2 pieces together. Now it's a good idea to take some painter's tape, tape these 2 lines, this line, and the bottom of your tail light, because the fascia is going to have to come off. The reason I like to do this is so that 1, when we're taking it off, 2, when we're putting it back on, if these 2 pieces happen to overlap, you don't scratch the paint. Next, we're going to come underneath the vehicle, T25 Torx bit. We're going to have 4 screws we need to remove. 1 on each wheel well on the bottom, and then 2 right here in the middle, connecting this panel to the middle here. Now this part's really important. You need to have a cart ready over on your passenger side because we can't, once we pull the fascia off, we can't disconnect the wiring. Otherwise, you have to take it, you have to call Porsche and they have to reprogram the vehicle. So have a cart ready so that when we pull it off, we can set it on that cart. It's also going to be ideal to have a second set of hands to help set it up on the cart. What we're going to do is we're going to start here, we're going to work our way across. There's going to be little tabs that run across here. If it feels like it's holding on tight, you may have to take a trim panel tool and kind of put it in there to push down. These are actually coming off pretty easy. These are these little tabs right here. We want to try not to break those off. So with an extra set of hands, pull our fascia back. On your driver's side, there's going to be a little hose for your sprayer. You can see right there, that little, you're just going to pull that little black clip back and pop that hose out. You want to make sure that that fluid doesn't touch any of the paint. On your passenger side, we'll take a trim panel tool. We're going to pop this wiring loose. You're going to have a sensor right here. We can unclip this sensor, pull that loose, and we'll pop this clip out here. And we want to make sure is just going to give us a little extra room. We don't disconnect this plug. If for some reason that plug happens to come disconnected, you got to make sure everything is plugged back in before the vehicle is started. Now we'll just take it, flip it up onto a cart. We're going to take this, slide over the top. Nylon lock nut on each one. .16 socket and wrench will come back and we'll tighten everything down. To start our wiring, there's a grommet right here. We need to take a 3/8 drill bit and drill a hole in it. Take our wiring harness. You're going to have an output side and an input side. This is going to be our output side going to our 7-pole. This is all going to be our input side that's going to be connected to our wiring on our vehicle. This box needs to be inside the vehicle. Right over in this corner on our passenger side, we're going to put it down in here. We're going to take this part, pull out this panel just a little bit, and you can run it in between this piece, which is as a kind of as a fuse holder, right down and over to that grommet. We're going to take our 7-pole in that comes in our kit. We're going to loosen this screw right here. We don't need to take it all the way out. Screw here on the side. We're going to remove it. Flip it over. Remove this one. Open the lid. You might have to take your screwdriver and go into the back here and push this out. This is what we want out. We want to get to the back of this. Before we wire to it, we need to take our wires. We need to feed them all into the plug in the back of it here. Get you enough out where it's easy to work with. That. We'll spread all these out. We'll take the back of our plug, and actually each one of these is marked. We'll just connect these to the colors that match. Loosen the screw. Find the wire. Slide it in like that and tighten it back down. Now to wire this, we're going to look at the back of it. You're going to notice this little slot here. We're going to hold that facing down. We're going to go blue, green, black, brown, yellow, white, purple. The back of these are marked. We don't want to foul those colors. We'll start with our blue one. Once you get all your wires connected, we're going to take this and put it back inside of the housing. The slot that we were looking at, it's the only one that goes all the way from one side to the other. It needs to be at the bottom. So if you look at your lid, it needs to be on this end. If you look down in there, you'll see how the edge of it is sitting flush there. That's the way you want it to be. We'll take our 2 screws, we'll put them in the ends as well as tightening this one down. This one here is going to squeeze this rubber grommet around the wires so they don't move. And then of course the other 2 are what are holding that plug inside of that housing. You're going to get 2-sided tape in there. There's not really anywhere in here to stick it. So what I did is just zip tie it to this factory wiring. Then you're going to come right up in this corner. You're going to see a brown plug. Make sure you do not disconnect the plug. Take a trim panel tool. There's a plastic fastener that goes into the body of the vehicle. Pull that out to give yourself a little bit more room to work. The wires we're going to be using. Are going to be the second solid green one, the solid brown one, and the red one with the white stripe right next to it. So we're going to separate the green, red, and brown wire from the yellow, black, and white. Push our yellow, black, and white off to the side. And we can start with any one of the wires. I'll start with the red one. You're going to do this however you want. You have a little connector like this. Take your red wire, route it however you want. You can do it a little bit long so you can zip tie it out of the way. Like that. And take this cap. Close it over the top. Take your pair of pliers. Make sure it seats all the way in there. Excess here. And just cut it off. Next we'll move to our brown wire, which is going to be the solid brown wire on our vehicle, the brown wire on our wiring harness. We're going to do the same thing with that wire. Next we'll take our white wire, and so it needs to be a ground, go to a ground. Right down straight in here, there's a brown wire on a stud, right to the body of the vehicle. That's going to be our ground. 10mm socket will remove the nut. We need to make sure our wire is long enough that we can add this on the end and get it underneath that stud. So we'll cut this down to size. Strip back the end. Add that on. Crimp it down. 10mm socket. We'll loosen that nut. So now you're going to take your yellow wire. You're going to route it down the same way, over across to your driver's side. Your black wire, route it down the same way, only we're going to come right over here to the middle. We'll leave that there for now. We'll leave our yellow wire over there for now. I'm going to take these wires that are inside this little compartment. I'm going to zip tie them all together right here so they're up and out of the way. The blue and purple wire we're not going to be hooking up. So we're going to take that and we're just going to tuck it back in this compartment here. For our driver's side, the harness is going to be right back here. Pop it off just like you did on the passenger side. Your yellow wire from your wiring harness is going to go to this solid yellow wire on the plug. Take your black wire, once you got it routed over, if you lift up this panel right here, this is where your battery is located. If you have this speaker, there's a brace that runs across here. You can run it down, straight down right here, and it comes out right on this side. I'll lift up the cover. We're going to be connecting this post right here. This is what our fuse and holder is going to look like. Cut it to size, strip it back, put it into the butt connector on the fuse holder, put it down. We're going to pull the fuse out. Before we connect it to the battery. Take a 1/2-inch socket. Nut off. Slide that ring terminal on. Tighten this back down. Back in just a little bit. We'll throw our fuse in once we get our fascia put back on before we test everything. And we're going to put on our 7-way bracket here. Slide it on. And it's just slotted so we can raise it or lower it depending on where we want it. I'm going to run it level with the bottom of this bracket. Slide it up just a little bit so when we put the 7-pole in, this part is level with it. Now I am going to have to tighten these, so just trying to get an idea here. Next, you need to come to the inside of your fascia, the lower part of it, find center, and you're going to mark it per the instructions. Then we're going to come back and we're going to cut that out. I'm going to use an oscillating tool. You can use a rotary tool, anything like that. Now with the next set of hands, we'll go ahead and reinstall our fascia. Don't forget your wiring on the one side for your sensor if you unplugged it, and then your hose on this side. Make sure, double check that you have all of your wiring connected back here before you put this back on. Again, if you start the vehicle and something's not connected, you will have to get the car reprogrammed from the dealership. As far as putting your fascia back on, you're just going to do it in reverse order from the way you took it off. Now that you've got everything hooked up, we'll go ahead and test it out to make sure it's working correctly. Running lights, left turn, right turn, brake lights. Now that you've tested everything out, you know it's working correctly, you're ready to go. It's going to do it for a look at in installation of the Stealth Hitch tow kit on a 2023 Porsche Macan.